then you can say, sorry, Andy, man, you were late to the table. All right, 6 o'clock, as soon as he tells us to go.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Ken wants to go home tonight.
We will do this fast.
I usually want to go home every day. Due to the COVID-19 and in accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order 12 in pursuit to Executive Order 2020-04, the Brentwood Board of Selectmen is authorized and will utilize Zoom for public access to our meeting. If there are any problems, please email Karen Clement at kclement@brentwoodnh.gov. We have one manual check for $497.80.
All right. You ready for first bud? And here we go. Andrea Brickham, 636.14. Joseph Bird, 923.64. Katie Blazik Ahern, 719.78. Kendra Brackett, 524.21. John Bryan is 206.11. Gloria Bendia Becerra is 367.79. Karen Clement, $1,098.37. Jeffrey Collins, 758.95. Katie Coppola, $38.79. Keith Culligan, $490.37. Alyssa Sanuski, 203.17. Michael Dam is 506.20. Keep you down as well as 174.54. Robert Gagnon is 516.77. Jason Gagnon is $38.09. Andrew Gray is 478.47. Alexander Hall is 381.74. Mary Lyons Hall is 199.48. Kip Kaiser 773.01. Joyce Kegel 570.02. Matthew Kelly is 802.88. Kevin Nealand is 415.99. Heather Lindsay is 640.86. Robert McCon is $1,390.51. Brandon Messina is $571.35. Rachel Mowbray is $70.19. Sarah Parkhurst is $434.10. Brian Rains is $598.26. Wayne Robinson is $946.12. Stephen Forza is $792.42. Christopher Spitaleri is $1,605.26. Katrina Tennant, $1,005.88. Josh Turner is $390.38. Olivia Wall is $140.60. Dan Wicks is $1,342.79. Janice Weirs is $779.19. Jeremy Worcester, $723.66. Daphne Wass is $711.27. Jared Wright Ward is $1,067.44.
What is the column, request column?
I'm sorry?
The
Is that-
request column?
Is,
I have to look at it. Let's see. Oh, the request 999, comma 999.99.
is that supposed to be
It's just
running
the
down?
bank, right?
With the bank information?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bank stuff that's kind of blocked out, so we don't see it. The direct deposit. We had an
You just put it
ACH,
down on the end.
we had an ACH payment of $198,500 for the school for May. I'll do the UGG for Bill, since I know he would like to do that. Just tell me when you're ready.
Hold on. All right.
Airgas, $67.50. Alpha Graphics, $92.17. AT&T Mobility, $771.11. Austin House, $1,300. Block 5 Technologies, $143.30. Boundtree Medical is $132. Kendra Brackett is $33.17. Casella Waste is $95.67. Center for Occupational Health, $956.65. Dragon Mosquito Control is $4,400 even. E&J Auto Parts is $523.55. Eversource is $153.61. Exeter Hospital is $438.12. First Light is $170.36. Great American Finance Corp is $317.09. Hartman Oil is $852.46. Health Trust Inc. is $93.75. Joyce Kegel is $159.12. Mitchell Municipal is $414.10. Neptune Uniform, $16.50. New Hampshire Association of Fire Chiefs, $100 even. North of Boston Media Group, $141.76. Seacoast Business Machines is $68.71. Stratum Tire is $435.98. Superior Fire Protection is $450. TNDE Calibration Labs is $290. Valak is $246.45. WM Corp Services is $4,988.82. WB Mason is $105.92.
We had a total of 13.5 hours for the PD and 9 for the highway. Couple of rec checks.
I'm gonna make a motion for the minutes for 4/20/21.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
I'm gonna make a motion for the minutes for May 4th, 2021.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Yes. Roll call, Bob.
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Now we're gonna do the building inspections.
The Permit Pro program has gone live, so some of the applications look a little bit different. Those are the web-based ones.
Okay.
Ryan Reed, 20 Fellows Road, strip and re-roof. Julie Dion, 108 Lake Road, wire 50 amp circuit for heat pump. Paul Mahoney, 26 LaBrue Street, replace deck. David Doucette, 4 Prescott Road, 25 amp mini split electrical. Leanne Poessi, 69 South Road, add 6 solar panels to existing solar array. Kathleen Holmes, 96 Prescott Road, plumbing for new home. Three Ponds LLC, 25 James Circle and 21 James Circle, plumbing for new home. Kurt Stuckey, 28 Fellows Road, strip and re-roof. And Todd McCartney, 47 Peabody Drive, replace existing wooden deck.
Did Joyce do something to make you mad?
No, Joyce, I forgot to.
I thought it was new protocol.
We were just gonna have you sit through the whole meeting.
Right.
I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
It will never happen again.
Thank you, Andrew. Weekly treasurer's report. Previous balance, $2,025,531.90. Deposits this week were $84,989.88. Payroll is $24,532.59. Payroll taxes were $6,550.34. The AP total is $216,457.87, with $198,500 payment to Swayze School. The account balance is $1,862,980.98, with our interest earned year to date $156.12.
Thank you very much, and my apologies again,
That's okay.
but I do believe it's Andy's fault.
Yes.
You should have brought it to my attention sooner.
It's all good.
Karen, can we get the vendor to put the signature lines on the forms? So you don't have to handwrite them when
Yes.
you print them out? They could probably even add like names to them maybe, so we would have our own signature lines.
Online.
Okay,
You have that Flag Day proclamation?
Bob wants to go to the notes. He has volunteered to do something. We're gonna start with documents to sign. He's agreed to volunteer to be the select board representative on his birthday for the Girl Scouts of America.
Okay.
And we all approve, is that correct, John?
Approved.
Andy?
What are we doing?
He's
The
volunteered
Flag Day proclamation?
on his birthday.
Do you need a motion, or?
I'm sorry?
I think the gentleman in the back is here for that. I don't know his name though.
Sir, would you like to come up?
Oh, sure, actually, my daughter will. So
Oh, good.
She's one of the Girl Scouts.
First, let me introduce you to Bob Montagari, who will represent us.
You can have a
Read it,
seat.
or do you want me to read the proclamation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Flag Day Proclamation. Whereas Americans will observe Flag Day on June 14th, 2021, a traditional time to honor the nation's symbols of freedom and democracy, and whereas on the date of the cadets of Girl Scout Troop number 51211, whose slogan is "Do a Good Turn Daily," we'll dedicate a flagpole and pollinator garden installed at the Brentwood Recreational Center through their community service and fundraising efforts to the town of Brentwood. And whereas we Americans are a diverse people, but united in what we believe that all people are created equal, we believe in freedom, and we believe in equal opportunity and justice for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen of the town of Brentwood of New Hampshire do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2021 as Flag Day in Brentwood. I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, all in favor?
Aye, roll call.
Roll call.
Bob,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Would you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Sophie Mara.
Is there anything you'd like to add to Bob's reading of the proclamation?
Not really, it's just we've been working on this for around 2 years. We originally wanted to install the flagpole because there wasn't one there, and sports events and other scout events need a flag to pledge to, and we were at the point where we had to look at each other's vests and whatnot to see the flag, and so you need an actual flag.
Well, thank you very much, we applaud you.
Thank you.
We're good to go.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for your
much.
job.
Thank you.
Bob Stevens here? No.
No. Starting at the top, the library has requested $25,1750 from the Fund for Maintenance of Town-Owned Buildings to regrade the lawn, repair the hole in the foundation, install gutters, covers, to repair the water issue in the basement.
Do we have that? There we go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The library's on, so I'll unmute them if they want to talk.
Okay,
18,000 for regrading.
We can hear you.
All right. So this was the quote that was put together, well, Kip had gone out to get this quote for us. And it does make sense, given all of the different people that we've had involved in this project have all pointed to the same issues, with it mostly being a situation where the lawn really needs to be regraded.
I make a motion, I'm reviewing it, looks in line.
I'll second.
Oh, sorry, what,
I reviewed it, it looks in line, I make a motion.
okay, we have a second. All in favor?
roll call.
Bob,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
Do you want to see the quote?
Okay.
Nah, you wanna see it?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you, library.
Okay, so that was an approval?
Yeah, it was indeed as submitted.
All right, thank you so much, guys.
Should I go get Daphne, or?
Are you ready for Daphne with the question?
Sorry. She has a customer at her window right now.
Okay.
Chief's here. Or did you want to finish the
Yeah, we can
notes
go.
instead of jumping around?
Oh, sorry. Where am I? I'm like all over the.
Bob's excited.
No, I'm just looking through this.
Bob's over caffeinated.
No, I think he's excited
drinking
about
water
Flag
now.
Day.
I'm excited, there's something on my birthday, that's awesome.
Okay, let's talk about the Patriot tax cards online, $2,500 out of the CRF for municipal software to utilize ARPA funds if guidance allows.
So what I am requesting is to put the Patriot tax card online. Right now, we have the CAI card and the tax mappings, but the CAI card does not have as much information as the Patriot card.
Okay.
So so a lot of the time, people will download the CAI card and then they'll call us and ask us to email them a copy of the Patriot card. So in order to do it,
Karen, what's the difference for those of us who don't know?
so CAI is our mapping company.
Yeah,
So
that's the
they
one that's on
export
there.
some data out of our assessing program to manufacture a card. But it only has, it has a sketch of the building, it has their ownership information, it has one sale, and that's really sort of all you can get out of it. On the Patriot card, it would have all of the sub-area details, so it would break down first floor, basement, all of your bedrooms. It would break down all of your building permits that you've pulled, it would pull all of your sales information that you have, so it's a lot more comprehensive
So would all of that be available to anybody?
online. So this would be, so it's $1,500 to set it up initially, and then it's $1,000 for an ongoing maintenance to be able to keep it online.
So it's currently available to anybody, they just have to call here, the staff has to email it.
CII, I can go on and look at
Yes,
anyone's house.
Yep.
Would this new thing allow me to go on and see even more details about the levels and
yes.
everything about everyone else's home?
Yes, and it would be linked to the map, so you would still have all of your mapping layers, so you would still be able to, pull your abutters notices for 200 feet for all of your abutter notices, which is what a lot of businesses will use it for. They can still see wetlands mapping, floodplain mapping, and all of that will still remain intact. So it's just an additional service. So what I'm asking for is approval for $2,500 out of the capital reserve fund, if the guidance doesn't allow us to use this as part of the ARPA funds, which is our second round of COVID stimulus money. So that guidance is still sort of loose and hasn't been, they haven't released all of the guidance on it yet, but I would assume that you could use that money for it because it's an operational expense to the benefit of the residents.
Well, I believe the state received $384 million or something. Yeah. Oh, only it hasn't been distributed anywhere yet.
No, so the webinar for, NHMA is putting out a webinar next Wednesday with some of that guidance. And so what I'm understanding is once the state receives the money, we'll receive our portion within 30 days of that, half of it, and then the other half will be next June or July of 22.
Can we have a motion?
Do we wanna just wait and see if we get the funds?
I got a feeling that Karen wants to have it now.
Any discussion?
Any funds that we get will, if we don't use it for this purpose, will go into the general fund. So,
I'll make a motion.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Robert?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Committee minute updates. I attended the school board on the first Monday in May. However, it was kind of not settled as to what they're willing to send back. But on average, according to the assistant superintendent, it's somewhere between 170 and 175,000 that would be returned to us in the form of revenue. But I will be there the first Monday in June for a firmer number. That's my update.
Library, I actually met, was out there with Bob and Janice the other day. And we're still looking for some plans or something on their drainage system so we can address the amphitheater and figure out the best way to kind of tackle that. And then I had to leave, unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay for the library meeting, but Liz is here, so maybe she might be able to shed some light on that.
Liz, would you like to contribute to Bob's presentation?
I don't know anything more about, I assumed that, that Bob was going, that you were gonna get an estimate or some.
We need to figure out some stuff on the amphitheater, on the plans, because otherwise if we don't, it's gonna cost a significant amount more money because of the drainage. Bob Stevens is here, so we can also, Bob, do you have anything you wanna add about that? About our looking at that, or?
Yeah, our proposal to do some engineering is almost done, in fact, probably is done, and you'll get it tomorrow. It's, Karen, I should say, found plans for the, septic system. The structure and layout of the driveway are not the same as real life, so, but it's the best we have, and I think we can design something around it. It has elevations on it that we can use to help guide the design of the repairs to the amphitheater. And we would just, or probably assume the drainage system would be, the contractor would need to figure out the drainage system and can't keep it from being damaged, and just leave it as is.
As far as I know, I'm sorry, can I speak now? As far as I know, we haven't had a problem with drainage in the amphitheater. I mean, we don't know exactly where it goes,
Okay,
but that drain in the center there, we're not flooding or anything like that, but of course, we need to keep that in mind if we rebuild the amphitheater so that we don't create a problem. But for right now, it appears that we're not having any leak, we're not having any flooding or anything in that bottom spot there for the amphitheater, but.
And we had talked about maybe change, because different types of materials, the way the wood is, and the concern was if we take down the wood, we've gotta hope that it doesn't impact that drainage, because that could change the whole kind of topography of that area.
Right, well, that's
And
going
we
to
gotta-
lead to the design of the amphitheater, if we're gonna redesign it or what we're gonna do, so.
Right. And that's one of the reasons Bob met us out there, just to kind of take a look at it and kind of give us an idea of how big of a deal is this thing? Because you also have your leach field that's here,
Yes,
and then we have the amphitheater that's here. If I take out that wall, where's the leach water coming? Into his backyard?
What's your take on it, Bob? Is it something that we can recreate another amphitheater like that, or is it really too far, too much engineering?
I'm quite hopeful we can replace what's there with something a little better in the same shape and size.
Is it, okay?
Yep, so I believe we can do that. We just gotta maintain the existing drainage system, and if we do that, we should be able to, we should have no problem.
thanks Liz, thanks Bob.
That's all right.
Andy?
Budget Committee elected Michelle Sudet as the chairperson. It looks like they're very interested in working cooperatively with department heads rather than the adversary form that we've had in the past.
Well, that's good news.
So it'll be wait and see. I know they have a tour set up with the chief, I believe, shortly, to see what goes on at the police department and take a look at the facility. But it sounds promising that they really want a partnership instead of a stonewall.
Okay, thanks. John?
Enforcement discussions continue on, with the planning board on a number of different, properties that have, been, out of, compliance. thank you,
Compliance, yeah.
for some time, and, DES is involved, the state's involved where it needs to be, and I think that those things are underway, and nothing specific to report on that front, but, there continues to be significant interest in having a dialogue with a town, someone who can help us come up with a strategic plan for development.
Thank you.
Did you want to ask Bob about conservation since John's not here? Or John?
Bob, you want to contribute on conservation?
Sure, not a lot new to report. The Concom is doing well though, and we have a couple of properties that are that have issues that we're addressing, some requests from folks to follow up on some conservation easements, encroachments. I don't think that's anything new, just normal audit stuff. And unless I'm forgetting something, I think that's about it.
Thanks. All right. What do you do, the timber? What do you want to do next?
This is a timber warrant, so there's 5 operations there, so each operation needs a certification signed, so there should be 6 signatures in there.
Okay,
Make a motion?
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Roll call.
Aye. Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
We're gonna put a sign in front of you.
Well, you never allow me to get to the damn place.
Or we're just gonna throw things at you.
Sticks and stones.
Hit him with some water. Coffee next time. One of these times we'll get it.
Do Bob like one of those electric fly swatters?
Nice.
What did you say when you walk in? I'm in the room?
What?
What?
No. Did I say something like that?
Yeah. Well,
You
then-
know nothing? I know
I
nothing.
heard nothing.
I know nothing. See no evil, hear no evil.
Chairman, can I interrupt? I remembered something about Concom.
Sure, go ahead.
Karen, did you relay that email or any thoughts on it for the Exeter River business up with the pocket dam?
I think that email was in the mail last week. Bob's email about from the Zoom meeting with Exeter.
I don't remember seeing it.
I can
So-
forward it.
Yep, so just to bring everyone up to speed, the Exeter River Advisory Committee is part of the town government of Exeter, and they are moving to address deficiencies with Pickpocket Dam. And among the proposals are changes to the spillway to accommodate a much larger storm flood
Okay.
or removal. And the Concom is preparing a list of questions regarding the dam that we would like addressed if they move forward with any alternative, and we'll map those out for them. I would fully expect them to have no trouble addressing those for us as they go. But we need to keep town folk informed because it could affect river levels upstream depending on what's selected.
Bob, can I ask, I'm the representative on the local advisory committee, is it coming from the ESRLAC, that is the Swampscott River Advisory Committee, or is this sort of the response from the DES requirements that they put forward? I don't think that that committee we put forward any.
No, DES, Dam Bureau issued a letter of deficiency.
Right.
And the meeting I went to was to present some preliminary engineering in regard to that, to those deficiencies to address them.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarify, I don't think it was ESRLAC, the River Advisory Committee that's pushing forward to that. We got a lot monitoring it.
Well, what I said was the Exeter River Advisory Committee, which I learned recently is separate from the committee you're talking about, and which is part of town government in Exeter. So, I was a little confused. About 3 weeks ago, I was confused about that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is a timber tax warrant certification and an abatement form. So last year, before the county farm did their timber cut, they asked if the board would be willing to abate the taxes. So that is the bill and then the abatement for it.
Motion?
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
We're gonna do it my way. Do we have a roll call?
Obviously.
Bob said yes.
Aye.
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 Poor Ken.
Why do you pick on the old person?
gonna have to start driving this, Karen, we're gonna be here all night.
Oh, sorry. This is the land use change tax for the quarters. It is to remove 0.34 acres out of current use to be used as a landing strip, and the land use change tax is $10,650.
Make a motion?
We have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 I think technically you're supposed to say our name, so
I know your name.
you know our name.
This is a land use change tax for 51 Lake Road, which is Mr. Morgan's property, for $14,000.
Make a motion?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes, I'd like one.
Aye.
Aye.
You're gonna abstain?
Abstain?
Aye.
Next?
First issue tax warrant,
Ooh.
$8,310,260.
Ouch.
You don't have to
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
I'm an aye.
When are the tax bills due?
July 1st. This is a current use application for map 215 lot 112, which is 27 Sherman Ave, and it is to put 12.9 acre, 10 acres into current use. Jim has reviewed it and finds everything to be in compliance with the statute and would recommend its approval.
Make a motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Robert, Andy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
I have two letters to the State of New Hampshire Treasury Department Abandoned Property Division. There is $175 in unclaimed town property, so this is letters to the state asking Ken to sign to give me the authorization to file the claim on the town's behalf.
Motion?
Second.
roll call.
Aye.
Robert, Andy,
Aye.
Bob,
John?
John?
John.
Aye. Sorry, people got us mixed up all the time.
Thank you. And that's the BLS handbook. I need one more signature.
Okay, want to pass this over to John?
You sure you want me to sign this now? Just saying, you are.
Oh, I've been saying that for
You, I
5
know.
weeks?
No, probably longer than that.
Oh, okay.
That is all I have for documents.
Okay. So is Jackie available or?
You know anything else?
Call it.
Thank you, sir.
She's sprinting down the hallway as we speak.
All right. Thank you.
I was late, sorry. I meant to come in.
Do you have one extra? Can I just have it for? Thank you. So the reason I'm here is we have 4 properties that would come up for deed this year. I don't know if you want me to go through them individually.
Briefly, yes.
Okay, so the first one is, Route 129, Route 27. That's the top one that you have there. The total amount owed for that 2019 tax lien is $688.73.
if we're not going to deed the property, I was hoping to get deed waivers signed by you. Not to say that we could not deed after. It's just you don't wanna do it right now.
And they've been making payments?
Yes, I put on there the last payment made was 5/6.
Sorry, Daphne, I'm just trying to follow. You said 68873. And then I'm sure that you're right and I'm looking at the wrong place. Can you just help? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Do you want a motion for all of them at once, or do you want to do individually?
Well, let's look at the severity.
I think before we move into some of the other ones, we should have a full board.
Oh, okay.
You wanna have a full board first?
Maybe if we take these sheets, look at them and ponder, John can pick up his and talk to Daphne about it. And anybody else that has questions can see Daphne and then we can.
Well, I'm
have
sure
a-
the three of us don't have a problem, but Jonathan, do you have a problem understanding what's going on? I mean, the delinquent
no.
in tax?
No, I appreciated, knowing kind of what is in process and what
Okay.
is not. This is,
I think what we'll do is we'll take Andy's advice and his recommendation, and we'll delay this until our next meeting,
Okay,
and in the meantime, the fifth member will be brought up to speed,
perfect,
right? So hang on to your papers. Thank you very much, Brad.
alright,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay.
Mr. Stevens,
Yes, sir.
you're up.
Good evening.
So this is about the bridge.
Yes.
We are aware that this has been a kind of a moving target. Why don't you bring us up to speed?
That's it. Where to begin? I suppose from the beginning. So the town has a bridge that, on Mill Road, that the state has, given, less than ideal scores for in their regular inspection report. And, the town was seeking to, replace the bridge. And, along the way, we figured out that the state has a municipal bridge program, and the municipal bridge program will pay for up to 80% of a bridge replacement. And, so we advised the town that the program was available, but it was closed at the time for a period of 10 years because it was so long, it really didn't matter, people were on it or not. So it was slated to reopen, I believe, in 2030, that list. Regardless, there's so many bridges on it that, we needed a way to give this bridge life while we found a way to approach the state for more money through the municipal bridge program. So, the town went through a process of, and the cost to replace a bridge like this these days is on the order of $1 million plus or minus 250,000. So, we devised the town sought proposals from engineering firms and received a variety of proposals to address the existing bridge. Ours was to get the town on the municipal bridge program for this bridge, which we believed would slate it for reconstruction somewhere in the 20 to 30 years from now. And then we thought it was a simple matter to repair the bridge for much less money. And after the proposal process, Stevens Associates won the bid, the contract. So since then, we designed a bridge repair. We've had that reviewed by the state, and that state has agreed that that will address their concerns. And we have bid it twice. The first time we bid it, we had one bidder, and that bidder was a very favorable price, but was unable to execute the contract with the town. And so we recommended the town rebid the project as it was, with a few modifications and clarifications, and we did that, and the town received no bids. So right now, we're in a position where, I don't think there's any need to panic, but the construction likely won't start in June, or in early June, and the full-on construction will probably not start in early July. But we have learned a few things along the way to likely address concerns contractors may have in the bidding process. So one of the things that we're concerned about is the contractors we have uncertain access at the site, and we had included in the design contract survey, but the survey was on the contractor to perform, and it was mostly for downstream, because there's some tight property restrictions downstream of the bridge, and we wanted to make sure we didn't encroach on anybody's property down there. But what we've learned since then, based on contractor questions at the pre-bid meeting, the most recent pre-bid meeting, following up on those questions, we learned that the right-of-way that the town owns does not include the riverbank, or I don't know for sure, but likely does not include the riverbank on the side where we thought the construction would occur. And if it doesn't, the contractor needs to know so that they can account for that in the construction. Am I out of time?
No, you're doing fine.
Shoot. Okay. So,
Well, you're gonna be bombarded with questions.
Well, we've already gone over all this, so.
I'm just trying to bring any new board members up to speed. So,
First of all, I think if we don't have access to the riverbank, we can seek relief.
we can.
I thought the way we left it at the last meeting was that we were gonna hire a surveyor.
So that, I was getting to that, Andy, but if you guys are ready to pull the trigger on that, I sure am.
Well, have we figured out what the cost would be for that?
No, so we met this past week with Karen and Bob, was selected by the board to administer this on behalf of the board, and we basically determined that it was probably a good idea to get the survey done.
I don't think there's a disagreement.
And we are defining the scope of that right now, and we've agreed to get that to Karen, along with perhaps a list of some potential firms to do it. And she can then solicit bids for the survey, proposals for the survey.
And just looking at what, we had a agreement before on the cost for the bid and the construction phase, but now the price has changed, correct?
This is for Stevens Associates?
Yeah.
Yes. And I can go over that now if you'd like.
Sure.
Are we good on the survey then?
Can I ask that we waive the bid requirement for the survey? And I can solicit bids but not do a formal RFP process. I can receive all of that information, but if we have to post it in the paper and then give them 4 weeks to reply, that'll push the project out another 8 weeks before we can even
I think that's a
execute a
reasonable
contract for the
request.
survey.
I think as long as we have 3 bids.
One of the reasons I believe, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but that we're struggling to get contractors is that COVID-19 has affected everything, right? And the contractors, construction is booming right now for whatever reason, and they view projects like this as filler, especially a contractor who's capable of doing work in the water like this is usually doing larger projects. They'll take a project like this occasionally to fill in time slots where they're slow, a week or 2 here or there. And our schedule was, because we wanted to get them in and out for the town, for the buses and for the emergency vehicles and stuff, we'd set the schedule pretty narrowly. So we're gonna change that. We recommend that we approach it differently and give them as much time as possible so that they can do it as they see fit. And
Fit it into their schedule.
exactly,
Okay.
which means there'll be days when there won't be anything going on out there. The public needs to know that that kind of thing is going to happen. So but it will make it more attractive to a contractor who might be looking to fill in and keep his guys busy, guys and gals.
Getting back to Karen's suggestion, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Does it need to have, are you comfortable with that? We're just gonna have a verbal, and we need to have 3 bids.
3 bids.
Do-
3 bids is pretty standard language.
Yeah, no, I just wanna make sure that this motion,
Do you think we'll be able to get 3 bids, Bob?
we didn't get,
I know I can find 3 firms I don't, whether they will bid on it or not. I would guess so. Schedule's gonna be important too, though. They need to get rid on it, right? Because we wanna get this going this summer.
How about a roll call vote, Bob?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Thank you.
So that's survey, right?
Survey.
All right.
Now
So there's a proposal in front of you from Stevens Associates. You may recall our initial proposal that was approved by the board last year included $19,000 for the bid phase, design phase, excuse me, and then $35,000 for bid and construction phase. I'm on page 3 of the proposal. Karen, were you able to print this out and give it to
Yes,
everybody?
they each have a copy.
Wow, thank you. So along the way, though, we figured out that the project is a little more sophisticated than your average contractor for a project this size, and there might be some need for some extra guidance. So at a previous meeting, we talked about an additional $30,000 to cover services on site during construction. But since then, we've had, or we're going to have 2 more bids, plus we've had the contractor, or original contractor, fail to execute the contract and all the shenanigans and chasing associated with that. So we're asking for an additional $42,500 in lieu of that $30,000 we talked about last year. For a total of $96,500.
so
This is-
last year, I wasn't here, Bob, so last year, the total would have been, I'm trying to figure out, is it an additional 42,000 or is it an additional 12,500
Well,
from last year?
I believe we were given verbal authorization for the other $30,000, but was never documented in writing, and so we put it in here. And then, so the additional is the $12,500, but it's all in here, one way or the other. It's either the original amount with $42,500, or it's the $54,000 with an additional,
You see what I'm getting, I'm trying to understand if I'm voting as the newest board member sitting here.
well, I'll let you guys decide that.
Am I voting on 12,500 or am I voting on 42,500?
There's a different breakdown, by the way, on the attached table
Right.
that may interest you, but this is essentially replacing task 7 from our original agreement with tasks 7 through 10 in our new proposal.
So if I remember the discussion right, the additional 30,000 was because we were concerned about
It was
the junior
clerking.
contractor.
Right.
So they were gonna oversee a junior contractor.
There was a clerk of the works type of
Right,
thing.
we don't know who the contractor's gonna be, so,
Premature, probably.
right, now we're spending an extra 12,000 on top of that.
Well, in fairness, that most of that, or a good chunk of that 12,000 is spent already, chasing after our original contractor and rebidding it once.
Because we had to go out for a second time, and Bob stated that he ran around the flagpole with the young man who originally made a bid, who didn't have really the necessary qualifications to fulfill the contract. So,
And I think Andy's question is a very good one, but I want to just say that because it appears that the problem here is getting a contractor interested in a small project who's qualified to do this, this project is going to take a lot of oversight regardless, and it's my opinion at this point. But you're right in your assessment. That's exactly the way it was at the time. I just think our perspective has changed a little bit.
So I'm thinking that you're not interested in increasing it by the 12,000.
Well, 12 over 30. I mean, we gave them an additional 30,000 already.
Okay, well, maybe we should document that for the record then, because it is not in the record? Oh, okay. All right, Bob, I think we're gonna have to put you on hold for a while.
Okay.
Give us an opportunity to review it.
Yep.
All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thanks, Bob. Chief, you wanna come on down?
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. A couple of quick things I wanted to run by you. In an effort to try to retain our personnel, I'm always looking for different venues. It's so expensive to identify, train, and then maintain an officer. So I'm looking at options, and one of them is to reward good activity. On the second page of the document, this is the matrix we're gonna use to identify the top performers. And we have the cruiser, the take-home cruiser, who kind enough to grant me, one officer declined it, so we have a cruiser. So what I'd like to do is identify an officer from the previous month and make him the officer of the month with a little sign and, out there for officer of the month parking, and let him use that cruiser to commute to and from work and then take it on patrol.
Right.
And then the aggregate of the officer of the month will be the officer of the year. And what we would like to do is grant him time off from Christmas to New Year's as a reward for being the outstanding officer of the department.
Andy?
Um,
It's your belly wax, huh?
I like the idea. I just don't like the idea of it being statistically driven. Sometimes it's been, I'm sure you know from being in state police for many years that people are required to make so many stops or whatever. Sometimes you get bad stops, sometimes you get junk. So technically, the old database, junk in, junk out. I agree with the idea, I just think it should be based on another thing than just strictly statistical.
I agree with you, and I actually feel the same way, but I didn't want to turn into an arbitrary thing, well, he likes me better. I wanted something quantitative that can say, this is why we selected him, that way hopefully eliminate any hard feelings. But that was my first thought, and I said, it could be more problematic than it's worth. So this, I have a concrete document, I can say, this is why we selected that officer. That was the thought process I went through to select this.
Sorry.
You're fine, go ahead.
So, total layman, I've been on the national defense side, zero experience with municipal, state, or police activity. So, looking at it just from my perspective, I actually love statistical and data-driven approaches. However, one thing that jumps out to me is, as a layman, as a complete layman, I have similar issues to Andy, but just from a layman's perspective, because I'm looking at it like, does that really, just because someone booked or arrested or cited individuals, does that necessarily mean that it was, it incentivizes, it potentially incentivizes things that, so here's where I was gonna end with it though. I'm sure that this is what an incident is, or I'm guessing what, I was running the other day and Chief Wicks clocked me at a not very fast pace. But Chief Wicks got called while we were speaking for an individual who was having trouble breathing, and you're probably first on the scene. You're there to help. That's something that, from my perspective, should really be celebrated. for you and for all of our officers, and, you know, that would be something that would be really extraordinary. Harder to quantify, but it's also, and, you know, and it's more of a luck of a draw, I guess, side of the situation, but,
Well, yes, and there is one other option that I could utilize. I've instituted something called observation reports. It's a neutral document. If it does something great, he gets an observation report. If there's something bad, he gets one. It's a way to recognize performance, so at the end of the year when I evaluate them, again, I have something quantitative to say, oh, you this, and that in file. I can include that in this, and that would include if they gave CPR to someone, which we do unfortunately too often. If they took part in other initiatives that were not calculated on that, I could add that to my matrix.
So it sounds like you have an objective and a subjective process, if you add the two together.
That I like.
You like that?
Well, hopefully they're both accurate, because I want to recognize all good conduct.
Okay.
So I can include that in this matrix.
Okay. So we have an agreement that we add both items that the chief recommended together.
Yeah, I would kind of like to see a scaled
Okay,
structure
all right.
of, you know, your activity level is worth so much towards this, a citizen attaboy is worth so much of this, a supervisor attaboy is worth so much to this. And then, obviously, a disciplinary action would take you out of the running for the month.
And that
Or
would be
2 months,
captured-
or 3 months.
captured in observation reports.
So you just want it tweaked a little bit more.
Right, and then, you know, and then the officer knows, it's not just based on my performance, it's based on me being approachable and nice to people. I mean, you can make 100 stops and walk up to a car and be nice and people learn from it, or you can make 100 stops and be a total jerk and a person that just hates the police afterwards.
I concur. I'll come up with something for the next meeting.
Okay. Chief, while you're here, on May 12th of this year, the chief and Joyce Kegel put on a performance demonstration for National Police Officers Week, honoring Officer Steve Arkell. And I was there, and I thought you did an outstanding job, and I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
I think-
Important event.
I'm not sure how much Josh did, but he usually is very involved in that, so he probably should be recognized as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, Josh and Lloyd Wright,
Yes,
they both participated in the ceremony.
and also Larry played the bagpipes.
Okay, oh, I forgot all about that, yes. At one point, I was hoping he'd cut it short. But,
So it was a team effort. We all pulled together for that.
it was very well done, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you. So I'll be back with a new proposal next meeting.
I don't think you have to actually come, you can just send it to, we know what you're talking about, just,
Okay.
Number 2.
unless you wanna see our smiling faces, but.
Well,
Can't.
based on the past few meetings, I feel it's important to be here no matter what, whether I want to speak or not. Item number 2, the dragway has traditionally resulted in major events.
That's 3.
He's
He's a stickler tonight for
All right.
whatever reason.
Well, we were talking about traffic enforcement, so I was gonna go there, but all right. The gentleman mentioned the unprecedented amount of construction, and we are experiencing it here. I have never seen so many details for a small community that we're having. And unfortunately, we don't have the manpower to staff it. And an example would be on 125, you've seen the tree service going on. That's a high-speed road, we regularly clock people at 70 miles an hour out there. We really need a law enforcement presence, and we just don't have the personnel to do it. We've called pretty much every town in Rockingham County, and we can't get anyone out there. So I'm looking for alternatives, and I spoke with Chief Bird, and he's amenable if we utilize fire personnel, if we can't get law enforcement officers out there. That obviously law enforcement would be our first option,
Sure.
but if we can't, then we go to the fire personnel.
Okay, we'll defer to Andy, what do you think?
The town of Northampton does this already.
Oh, okay,
Um,
so there is a precedence for it.
Kingston does it also.
Okay,
I don't know of any problem with it. We may have to talk about how the cruiser fee gets done up. Maybe it goes, maybe the fire department's gonna have to create their own revolving fund. Because yes, it would be nice if it all went to the police revolving fund, but it's not fair to the fire
no,
department if
certainly not, no.
the police department's getting their cruiser fee money.
Right.
But
That's
I'm
all-
for it, just share the wealth, and it's another way to maintain firefighters is by giving the option to work
All right,
details.
so you're gonna make a motion?
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A roll call vote, John,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Bob, and I'm an aye. Thank you so much.
Great.
I still got another one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, two more. The driveway. We've always had problems there, traffic delays, complaints about aggressive driving, particularly on the events we had on Sunday. We finally were able to work it out. We shut down the ramps on 101. I asked the driveway to hire an enforcement car, it was very active, I get the numbers there. And we got numerous good responses in our Facebook and on Brentwood Talks. We did a few complaints, but the pros outnumbered the complaints, so
Okay,
we're trying to get a handle on it. We have a big event coming up in June in Nashville, a 3-day event. We're trying to look at it from a different perspective, and it seems like we might be going up the right track. And the last one is a big ticket item, body cameras. You've probably seen all the notoriety, police use of force. We're trying to find ways to resolve it. I think body cameras is a great option. It gives you a non-opinionated view of what actually happened, that we can all look at later on after the fact. They are pricey, so I'm looking at several options. I asked Karen to see if we have approximately 100 businesses in town, if I could solicit donations from them. There's also the federal money coming back in the near future, and there's also some limited federal grants out there. So we'd like to explore all of them and see if we can get body cameras for the office as soon as possible.
how about impact fees?
Sure.
Do we know how much money he has in his account?
I think there's only about 10,000 left because we used
Right,
a
we
lot
just
of
bought
it for
that
the
cruiser,
renovation.
it's very
Okay.
little, yeah.
All right. What is your opinion?
Body cameras are great. They're a great asset.
If we have 10,000 in impacts, do we have sufficient money to cover the rest of it?
Without donations?
Yes.
Well,
Well, we're just.
What about the federal grant opportunity?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So part of the webinar next week is gonna talk about the ARPA funds, and they're gonna see if body cameras could be one of those instruments that we could purchase with that grant funding.
Well, that's a good idea.
and then the other idea is part of the police reform package is a requirement for body cameras. So I would assume the state is gonna have to cough up some money at some point for it, but that could be years down the road.
I wouldn't want to wait for that,
Yeah, well, we're all gonna be very old if that happens.
Probably the same time the intersections get fixed.
2035.
2035, we've heard about that.
Okay, well, I think you're on the right track, Chief, and I think that you're gonna get an agreement from us to do whatever you think is necessary. And I think we should make a motion, Bob.
What's
I have
the
one more
motion?
thing to add before you do that.
Okay,
So if he's going to solicit money from businesses, if we anticipate it, receiving at least $10,000 or more, you're going to need to hold a public hearing.
okay.
So council would recommend holding that public hearing on the outset before you start collecting the money, so that way you can clearly define what the intent is, what he's gonna be using the money for, and then you sort of make that scope broad, so that it can be used for body cameras, storage, maintenance contracts, and matching grants when and if they become available to us.
Okay, so at our next meeting, we can do it in conjunction. We can have a hearing and our normal meeting. It
Well,
has-
depending on how long we have to post it and what Karen needs to do
Yep,
to
yep.
get all the
Yeah.
language
You
together and.
You might have a posting that could take 30 days prior,
Right.
right?
So we just wanted to make sure you're in support of it before we
Okay.
move to that step.
I mean, I guess you could do poll, straw poll. I mean, I'm in support of the body cameras. I think
Andy already is.
nowadays you have to kind of.
And if they're clocking you, you should be. And I am.
I couldn't be in more support of it, but just, from the taxpayer perspective, just want to make sure that we explore the option. I just want to understand what's available, before we pull the trigger.
So far, Chief, you're 4 for 4.
Okay, and my hope is, we get great support from the community, that if I went to these 100-odd businesses, we might be able to get close or entirely, and be paid by donations, to get us rolling. There's maintenance fees and long-term fees, but if we could get started with the equipment.
Well, maybe we could solicit from the board.
I don't know if it's allowed, but I'd be more than happy to make any phone calls to local businesses.
And I didn't want to do anything without running it by you and make sure you're comfortable with it.
So let's get the public hearing done and then we'll move on.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Chief, appreciate that.
And one last thing, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, we have a class on responding to folks in mental health crisis. We'd love to have you here as role players, and we have gift certificates for Goody Coles, so we'll provide Goody Coles dinner.
Well, I know Bob is a favorite of Goody Coles. So,
And
are
I'm
you
sure
available tomorrow night?
I'm sure you'll be able to hit me in the head with a gavel and get me to a raise, so.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Wayne, are you here for a reason?
Yeah, I gotta talk to you guys.
Yes, no, and no,
Now and then, right?
in that order.
I wanted to find out here, I got this letter from Kit about, down to Robinson there, number 6. Down there, the culvert down there. We went down there and looked at it, actually this week. And, I had John Bell go down with him. And we went down and looked at it. Now, the culvert down there is, they were blaming the road, the water coming off the shoulders, and it's not that, okay? What it is, the culvert was put in, the culvert wasn't put in deep enough, and the frost got in there, and it lifted the culvert. So the guy's driveway, the culvert is up pretty high, up above his driveway. So it looks like to me, and then the area where the culvert is a hot top. But the owner down there put crushed stone up through his whole driveway and brought it up to where the hot top is, and brought it kind of over top of the culvert. And so I got this letter here. I wanted to find out, now, if we rip that up, we go down there and rip that up, we're probably gonna have to hot top the driveway. And it's not the fault of the town, it's when it was put in. Now, I just didn't wanna open up a can of worms here, because you've got that one there, and you've got 3 more down the road, exactly the same, they're all hot top driveways. So if we do one, I guarantee we're gonna end up doing the rest of them, and it's gonna cost us some money. I asked John Bell to give me if he could, he took his laser thing and went up through the culvert. Now, he said there's 2 ways of fixing this. He said we can take and leave the culvert the way it is. There's only a few places in there right now, if you leave it alone, there's only a few places in there that gotta be dug. What it was filled up with loam, and it's a little higher. So the water, that's why the water lays there. If we end up digging the culvert up and lowering that culvert, that means we've gotta lower the whole thing down there, with the whole ditch line.
Now, the culverts are still on their property, it's just
The
within the
culvert
right of way, right?
it's not town, it's in.
Because I know when my culvert failed, I had to take care of it.
Yeah,
myself.
you have to take care of
And
yourself.
I had to pave the
That's
driveway.
the other thing I want.
Driveway.
Yeah,
Driveway.
We're gonna open up a can of worms for the whole town if we go ahead and do it this way. So
I don't think I'm
that's
willing
what
to
we
incur
wanna
that
do.
cost.
This one has a drainage easement though in this, right? And I think the culvert is just in front of the boundary markers.
I believe so, but it sits back, I think that culvert sits back enough so it's the owner, it's not the town.
Well, we gotta be sure about that.
I'll check that,
Okay.
but,
And now the other 3 you mentioned, is it very similar, or is it,
all the rest of them are similar to the one up there. But the only thing and they got all hot top driveways all the way down, and their culverts are down, and they're in the hill more than what this first one is. This first one is right on the very top of where the road is, but
definitely food for thought. Any comments?
I mean, if it's just the right-of-way access, I think it still ultimately falls back on the owner. And that was, how old is that development?
20, 25 years?
25 years, so I mean, when would you think those roads would be reclaimed, or when do you think that would happen?
Either way, we wouldn't do a
We
driveway
won't do the
culvert.
driveway anyway,
Yeah, we went to the driveway culvert. And it's not the road, the first thing John Bell, when he looked at it, he said, what are you guys worried about? He said, this is the homeowner's problem, it's not a town problem.
Okay, well, I don't think we're ready to take any action, chief.
I think Karen made a point, though, that we need to make sure that,
The easement, yeah.
yeah, it's not a drainage easement
Right,
that
right.
we require.
She's writing very fast, so I think she's got the message. Right?
Got it? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just to bring you guys up, we got Dudley all hot topped today. We gotta do block drive tomorrow, and then right after that, we're gonna start skim milk lane tomorrow. So, but we've got that far, it's all.
How did you make out with the trees on Scrabble?
They're gone.
They're gone? Okay,
They got cut down?
We haven't come down
Oh,
yet. He told me he was booked up for 4 to 6 weeks, so probably by July before we get over there to
Okay.
cut those trees.
Now, Bob Stevens had a complaint about class 6 roads. Do you wanna address that tonight, or do you want him to touch base with Wayne?
I emailed him and asked him if he wanted to file a formal complaint, but.
Okay, I just didn't know if you wanted to bring it up now or not.
It's not on the agenda, so.
Okay, just asking since they're both here.
Oh, we
Usual
have-
to get 2 people here.
We have agenda people here that have been
Yeah.
waiting.
all right. Thank you, Wayne.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay,
Thank you.
now we're ready to,
Yes.
That's gonna have to go non-public, so we
Yeah.
probably should
well, we're
look
going
for public comment and
yes.
then.
In fact, I'm going to address the public now.
This one's going up?
Are there any comments
Yeah,
from
it's
the
real
public
estate.
before we go into non-public?
Just wanna thank Bob for taking my role for the school, and
Told him that you made
thank
a
you,
noise.
Bob, appreciate that. I was a little late today, so I'll try not to be late next
Why did you thank him for what?
The for the school.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Very essential.
Is
Any
our-
other comments from the public?
Did you wanna check,
Yeah, we do. We want to check. Any hands raised?
Only 3, right?
2?
Oh, that's your cursor.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something over there, I don't know what it is.
We'll close the Zoom meeting, seeing nobody has any questions.
So I'm gonna make a motion, we go into non-public in accordance with chapter
Thank you for
91A, 311, A, B, C, D, E, and I, and that's for reputation,
Legal and real estate.
legal and real estate.
Second?
Roll call?
Bob?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I,